So yes, if you are interested in seeing the setup of this live stream, Aaron actually set it up on his stream on his channel, slash Aaron PK on YouTube, earlier today. So I am flying solo, and anytime it breaks, we're just gonna have to figure it out. Welcome to the live stream. We are once again now on Sundays by popular request, although no one seems to remember that we're on Sundays. We are on Monday mornings when it comes to Australia, and we're in the darn near middle of the night in Europe as usual. So welcome. Thank you for joining. Today is an extremely easy live stream for me because we're just going to go through my numbers again. At the beginning of the year, most years, I set out like my goal for my annual budget, like how much I want to save, how much I expect to spend on various things. And then I do a end of year like recap of if I hit those various goals. And when 2021 came around, I really did not know what my life was going to look like for the last half of this year, because obviously there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. And additionally, I was considering moving abroad for grad school starting next month. And so we had a lease that was expiring at the end of July on our apartment. Like there was just way too much uncertainty about what the second half of the year was going to look like for expenses, my employment, you know, which country I was going to be living in. And because of that, I only did a January through July budget this year on my personal blog, anomalily.net. And so I figured, hey, why not do a like recap live stream of how things went. David asked, did Aaron leave you all alone? Yes, Aaron left me all alone. Aaron has an event tonight, and because of that, we get to try out me live streaming alone. But honestly, I really should get better at running this by myself. I do, they're not like publicly streaming, but I do a lot of solo workshops with this camera setup and everything via Zoom, because all of my Pay It Forward workshops we've been doing remotely for, you know, a year and change now. And I've had a lot of technical difficulties lately with that. I think partially because our setup started getting more and more complicated for those compared to the normal Zoom setup. So, you know, it's good that it's good that I fly on my own. If it helps, I always mess something up when I do production. I mean, I expected something to be messed up, and that's all y'all missed when the mic was off was me asking if the mic was on. So, at least it's fixed. I'm glad it's fixed. Thank you all for joining. Hopefully this is interesting for people. I know there are a lot of people who like to like peer into other folks' budgets, and because I do tend to have pretty high savings goals, I, at least relative to having a median income, I feel like it is useful for folks, but it certainly is maybe a little less applicable than the average live stream topic. But, you know, sometimes we just need an easy live stream topic. Do we want to dive into things? Oh, I have to introduce the donut. I don't have someone to do the donut cam today, so you have a slightly less well-lit donut, but this donut is a French toast donut. Pretty straightforward and simple. It's like a regular raised donut, and it is covered in powdered sugar, which is now all over me. You can see I already took a chunk out of it when I tried to show it to you. So now my lap is covered in powdered sugar. Yes, it's a very like mysterious donut today. It's a very simple donut though. I gotta say, I stayed away from the savory donut at the donut shop, even though it's the only of the seasonal flavors I haven't tried yet. So you're all gonna go French toast donut. I also have this kombucha today. I decided not to go with coffee or tea and instead have a watermelon bloom kombucha, which is it's pretty good. It's very fruity. It's made with rooibos tea too, so hopefully it won't keep you up all night. That donut shop has a line at 1 p.m. That is insane. The line at the donut shop on the weekends is always out of control. The only time that it hasn't been like super duper long was when we've had those really, really, really hot days. So yeah, people stand in line for that donut shop for like an hour. That's why I go first thing in the morning. I get these donuts before like as soon as they open so that I can try to avoid the line. But even when I go down like a minute after they open to like just get my donut and get out, sometimes I end up waiting in line too. So the donut sounds terrible. Why does a French toast donut sound terrible? I don't know. The powdered sugared part I have discovered is maybe not good for camera, but I don't know. It sounds great to me. It's just like a nice little sugar bomb. So I'm not gonna be mad about it. It wasn't as good. The last week's sour watermelon was like really good. We don't have a cat cam today, unfortunately. More things that we introduce, the more things can break. But I may get this very adorable kitten to come in for a guest appearance on this camera because she is in the middle of a bath. There are toes that need to be cleaned. So it's pretty cute. She's been in the office for 3 hours waiting for the live stream to start. So do we want to look at graphs? I don't know. How are people doing? How's it going this week? I feel like this week was we had this upward trajectory as a world where we kind of felt like things were maybe reopening and like bad things were still happening. I mean, it's the 2020s. Of course bad things are still happening, but it seemed like vaccination rates were improving, especially in a lot of rich countries, and you know, things were reopening, people were booking travel, people were on trips, airports were reporting that they were back to, you know, numbers that were approaching pre-pandemic tourism numbers. And then this past week, we got all sorts of information that really made us start to be like, maybe it's back. Maybe it's back. David says, it seems like I show up watching this stream whenever I'm procrastinating about cleaning things. I mean, you can also just put this on in the background while you clean, not to bully you into starting cleaning, but I understand that. Sometimes I watch cleaning videos on YouTube of other people cleaning their houses to convince myself to clean, so which is obviously very reasonable. I have been thinking, if anybody knows someone on like cleaning TikTok that answers questions, I have been trying to figure out how to get my shower clean, because my shower is one of those like plastic insert showers, and it's I've never been able to get it like fully back to clean. And I've tried every kind of cleaning solution on it. I've tried baking soda, Bon Ami, bleach, like you know, regular shower cleaner, which does nothing. And it just like continues to not be all the way clean. It's like a textured plastic. I don't know. It's very hard to clean. So I'm sewing while I watch. That's good and productive. Emily says I do that with meal prep, like procrastinate on meal prep and then you just watch meal prep videos. I got into such a deep rut with meal prep. I had been making the same thing since like, I want to say December 2019 was when I started, and I had like barely altered the meal prep that I was doing for lunch every day, and it was working really well for a while. And I've eaten the same thing for breakfast for I think going on like 9 years now. So I don't need a lot of variety usually, but the past like month and a half, I've started to be slowly rebel against the meal prep, which is a darn shame because I really had it down pat. I had like, it was like efficient, nutritious, affordable. It was well balanced. I could cook a week's worth for two people in an hour and a half and do all the dishes. And I just don't want it anymore. And so I found a deal for one of those like meal delivery services, not where it's pre-cooked, but like where they send you the recipes and stuff, which are generally not a great deal. They can make sense if you're someone for which like you're learning to cook, or you like like getting to the grocery store is like really challenging due to your life or your location or whatever. For me, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I know how to cook. I live very close to a lot of grocery stores. Access to groceries is not a challenge for me. But I found a like cashback coupon situation through one of my coupon apps for a vegan meal like prep service called Purple Carrot. And I was like, I'm just going to do it because with the coupon, it's actually cheaper than buying like a week's worth of my normal, like affordable-ish groceries, and just get some recipe ideas. What the thing that really bugs me is that like they're so confident that you're willing to pay their very inflated rates for groceries that they post all of their recipes online. Like you could just go to the grocery store and get all the ingredients and not do this at all. So I was hoping it was in my budget to hire someone to clean for me. When I was working 3 jobs, so I had a full-time job, a 15 to 20 hour week job, and then I was also running the business. And I knew that wasn't sustainable going into it, and I budgeted out in 2020 the things that are a direct result of working 2 jobs, and it was someone to clean the house. And that only lasted 2 months, and I never managed to actually book someone to clean the house because COVID, so didn't work at all, which was really, really a bummer. But I allocated that money towards other ridiculous things. Emily says, I love the online recipe cards so much for when my brain is gone. I'm pretty much like after, we got this for this week, and then I did a second week because I also had a coupon for that one. And I'm planning on just going onto their recipe like website and getting ideas, particularly because the problem that I run into is like the internet is full of grocery recipes and like recipes for cooking. The problem is that I get overwhelmed, and at least the selection of just like, I'm going to go to this website that I know has vegan, easy to cook, fast recipes. I'm just going to do that because it's not going to be too complicated because it's a meal prep service. So they're not going to make it like outrageously complicated. Probably the worst thing that I think the meal prep service recipes do is that they'll substitute in some like flavor or spice or herb or something that is unnecessarily fancy to try to like justify the meal prep service. So Cass says they're a good deal when they offer you 75% to come back. Yeah, that was the thing, is like when I actually did the math, it was less than a normal week's of groceries for me. And I was like, okay, I'll try it for a week. I'm like clearly in a rut, and I've been making things that I never would have made before. And I do like assignments, and it feels like I've been given an assignment because I have a bag, it's labeled, I have a recipe. And so it just feels very doable. It broke the kind of rut that I was in with the meal prep. So Barkeep's friend in the cream version. I didn't know there was a cream version of Barkeeper's friend. I will look because I did try Barkeeper's friend already on it. No luck. Emily says that's 100% a Jolie Care question, but is the issue that the plastic is stained or that it's grimy? The issue is both. So mold is always a problem in Portland when it comes to like everything anywhere. And it's not in the caulking. I can't get the mold off. And like I've like killed off the bad parts of the mold with the bleach, but like it's like permanently stained the caulking around the like plastic edge. And then like bottom is like stained. So I can get like the really gross stuff off and like clean it, but it's just like kind of always stained. And I found this like one YouTube video where someone poured a bunch of baking soda all over it, then put towels, then poured boiling hot water from a kettle over it, let it sit for like 40 minutes, and then cleaned it up. And that was the one time I was able to actually get all the stains off. And I haven't tried it again because it did seem a little laborious, but maybe that is the only solution. Cheryl says, I could give you recipe assignments for half that cost. Will it also include groceries? Because I think I figured it out. I think I just needed like a little bit of a jump start. So, oh, mold. Barkeeps won't fix that. The bottom doesn't have any mold on it, but like the caulking on the side does. It's possible that maybe we just have to like take the caulking out, but this is a rental, so I'm not that motivated. It was never clean when we moved in. Oh, you could knife the caulk out and then just redo. Yeah, that's the thing though. In a rental, I don't really want to, but maybe that's what I will do. Okay. Potentially soaking it with OxyClean. Yeah, I have OxyClean, so I'll try that. Just add whiteout when you move. It's not a bad idea. I think we've kind of accepted we're probably not getting our deposit back because we paid a very small deposit for this apartment. So my goal is to just not owe more than our deposit. But we've put a lot of holes in the ceilings and the walls, and I think it's probably they're not going to consider it normal wear and tear just because we've mounted a ton of stuff, so. Abel Jack says, I heard that spraying with 4% bleach, let it sit, and then spray with ammonia. I was like, that doesn't sound safe. Okay, good to know that was sarcasm. I was like, that doesn't sound safe at all. Emily says, for the tub, but letting it sit is the key thing. I don't have a tub. I just have a shower, which I am very upset about. So, unfortunately, because when I moved in, I didn't think that we were going to live here for 5 years and I was going to be without a tub, the one thing I requested when we moved in. So, feeling great about that. Okay, do we want to talk about savings? I don't know, or do we want to just keep trying to diagnose my cleaning issues? Did anybody have a good week? Did anybody not have the descending fear of the new variants come down on them this week and they had something exciting happen? Emily moved this week, right? So, congrats. David says, I've never used my tub. The average tub is 6 feet long. The average me is longer. I like the really small, like, soaking tubs, but that are tall so that you can, like, sit in them. I feel like those are the best for both small and big. Emily moved this week. Congratulations and condolences because you moved and now you have to unpack stuff. So that sounds nice and fun for you. Also, we were supposed to have terribly hot weather this week, but it wasn't as like outrageous up here as they said it was going to be. So, oh, I like this. Cheryl's way of dealing with the stress this week was setting up a sewing room, as we will never have a guest again. That's probably realistic. Yep, I would say that. Oh, Emily says that's a problem for later me. Abel Jack says, my entire week was applying COVID policy made before vaccinations to post-vaccination, but still maybe death life. Cool. So, uplifting week, I'm sure. Yeah. It's... I think I've talked about this on the forums, but the thing that I'm like less upset about the like variant outbreak situation, vaccination situation. Like, I kind of knew that was coming, but the thing that really was very disappointing this week is that so I got the Johnson and Johnson or Janssen single shot vaccine, and the I have two key issues. One, only one study had been produced, and that study was by Johnson and Johnson, the makers of the vaccine, that showed initial, like, hey, this is probably effective against Delta. Then early this week, late last week, a study that was not funded by the vaccine maker came out, and pretty much J&J single shot, not effective against Delta. And then additionally, obviously, we have some other vaccination ones. Because I am also immunosuppressed, I've been keeping an eye on peer-reviewed studies that have been looking at trials of people on immunosuppressants and whether or not they develop a vaccine response. And it turns out that only one of the like 40 plus studies that have been done included the Johnson & Johnson vaccine at all. And that one found that the vaccine response in people taking the particular immunosuppressant that I am taking was much lower in Johnson & Johnson than the mRNA vaccines. So pretty much, I'm not sure if I'm even technically vaccinated at this point, because I live in a place where 90% of the new COVID cases are Delta variant. It's looking like the Delta variant is not effective against Delta. And then additionally, I am more likely to have not developed any antibodies from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So like, that's my fun thing for the week. I am also internationally traveling in a month. So I'm flying to Europe in a month, and is that actually going to happen? Today I was like, I should really figure out when all my what the cascade of all of my refund policies are, like when I can get it back. Cheryl says take an antibody test. So most of the antibody tests are not actually going to show you vaccine antibodies. The CDC essentially said don't use antibodies for that. 2, you're not allowed to get them ordered by, doctors are not allowed to order antibody tests just to see if the vaccine is effective. So there's only certain ones that can. And 3, that doesn't really help when it comes to the Delta variant. So I don't think it's that effective. There were a bunch of people that were like, just donate blood and then you'll find out if you have the vaccine antibodies. But I can't donate blood. They don't like my blood. So, because of the drug I'm on, I'm not allowed to donate blood for if I was to go off of it, I couldn't donate blood still for another 7 years. So, yeah. All right. Let's dive into some savings. I don't know. I thought this would be mildly interesting for people. So I set up what I thought my January through July budget would be at the beginning of the year. And I estimated $1,648 per month. So that includes my rent, which is $615. I was able to very confidently do that for half the year because we had a locked in rate. We'd had a lease that ran through the end of last month, July. My utilities are mostly really stable. Some of them are fixed rate, like my water, sewer, gas, and my trash is all a fixed rate. The only thing that varies for us is our electricity. And I essentially set aside about $35 a month. It's around 30 in the wintertime because we live in an upper story apartment that is well insulated. So we often never have to turn on our heat, which is electric. But in the summertime, especially because it got up to 115 degrees or 45 degrees Celsius, because of that, I have we do run a portable AC, and that takes up a lot of electricity in the summer. So our bills tend to go up by about $20. So my amount ends up being like $10 more. My groceries are pretty stable as well. I have kind of discovered that I track my regular groceries and my treats, which is a category I just use to mean like something I got that isn't really um necessary. So it could be like treats can include something like I decide to get fancy vegan cheese or like pretzels, something that often that has like it's more a luxury item. I track that separately. I have noticed that the treats tend to peak a lot more in the summer right now because I'm leading a picnic ride every other week. And so our summer groceries actually climbed a lot just because I was getting a lot more treats. Bikes and transit was $28 a month. I actually ended up going, I think, quite a bit over that because I got my extra cycle completely re-overhauled for about $500. Like I had to get a new wheel and I got a bunch of work done on it. I'm still deciding if I am going to sell it or not. It is a good, sturdy bike, but it is not a fancy bike. So it's probably like a $700 to $800 cargo bike to sell. I think I'm at a point where the extra cycle is less useful to me than a cargo trailer would be. So I'm still working that out. The healthcare, initially, when I set up this budget, it was to repay back my healthcare subsidy that I got in 2020 that I did not qualify for. But part of my extra income from this year was that the IRS unexpectedly refunded anybody that had paid back a misestimate of their healthcare subsidy. It was a special, just 2020 only part of the American Rescue Plan. I didn't even know that, so I got like a random deposit after I'd gotten my tax refund. I talked about it on a live stream a couple months ago. So my healthcare expenses were mostly things like optometry, skincare, copays, and stuff like that. Figure skating, I wanted it to be $155 a month. It was not. The rink ended up being closed. We had a lot of variance and everything happen for quite a while. So yeah, it just really did not happen. And restaurants, I put down $25 a month. In reality, I spend very little at restaurants, but I spent a lot more as things started to reopen because I wanted to like support restaurants. So last month I spent some money at restaurants. It was also my birthday month. And then the immigration is a one-time expense. This is just like the monthly bit here. I applied for Croatian citizenship. We flew down to LA. This is all of the various expenses included in that, paying the immigration lawyer, paying the filing fees, paying for all the documents, a lot of FedExing back and forth between Croatia or between New York and here or Ohio and here to get documents. And then giving, I do a lot of my charitable giving through my business for tax reasons. So this is just my personal giving. So this will look a lot lower because this is just my personal expenses. So I take all my expenses for Oh My Dollar out before I calculate out my gross income for Oh My Dollar that you can see. So in reality, I ended up spending about $100 a month more, but I was able to still meet my savings goals because I got a bunch of unexpected income. I got a raise at my day job. I got the stimulus. I got a higher tax return than I expected. And then I additionally got that healthcare amount back. So all of the things that happened around there. Oh, my mom said, come on, it's candy. So it's not actually candy in my like treats category. I usually put candy in my spending money. I spend like $2 to $5 a month on candy, so I try not to do it very much. Cass says, my kink is budget voyeurism. I'm glad to know that this is providing pleasurable activities for you. I like showing these off to people. So this is what it ended up working out as. I was still able to save. I saved just over $19,086 thus far this year. I'm participating in the Oh My Dollar 21 and 21 challenges, which the goal is to save either $21 a week, $21 a month, $21,000, or 21% of your income. So those are the different like challenges that you can participate in. They all get the same sticker as part of the 21 and 21 challenges. And I'm participating in that. I am 90% of the way towards my $21,000 for the year. I will probably exceed that. So this is how things actually worked out. I ended up spending even more on immigration expenses than I expected, as of course expected. I said $25 to restaurants. I ended up spending $22 on restaurants. A lot of that ended up being getting nice coffee drinks after I ran as like a motivation thing. My rent ended up being a little bit lower because we did renew our lease because I decided to not move out of the country to go to grad school because in January, when it was time to decide, London was popping off with COVID, and it did not seem that moving to London in August was going to be safe. So we renewed our lease, and we got $200 that we split down the middle, so $100 each that we were able to, like, essentially contribute towards that. Fitness was various things, like I registered for a half marathon, blah, blah, blah. Travel was one of the really big ones. And I know that that looks like a really high number considering I've been on one like 3-day trip thus far. But a lot of those are flights that I have purchased at a very low rate and hotels for trips that are upcoming. So I booked a flight to Denmark because it was a round trip, $340 from the West Coast US. And I've already booked a lot of my hotels for that. And then I also booked a trip to Kenya next year, hoping that both of those trips happen. And that was $650 round trip to Kenya, which is also a really good deal. And so I have those in there. And that was just some various random stuff. I don't know, all sorts of random things. And then the education was the unexpected one. I decided to do a Croatian language learning class, which was not part of my immigration. It wasn't a requirement for immigration. It was just a thing to do. And I thought it would be only fair if I am going to get Croatian citizenship to try to actually learn the language. I do not regret doing it. It was great. I now have a cool certificate that just got mailed to me from Croatia that says that I passed. And I got a certificate saying that I took a Croatian class. And then I also, part of that is that I signed up for a year-long German class. Locally here, it's going to be taught via Zoom, but it's through the German American Society in Portland. So, yeah. Can I read my certificate? Yeah, I can read my certificate. I find that I found that I did okay with a lot of my, I found that I did okay with a lot of the like reading stuff, but everything's very slow and the speaking part is not great. But the other advantage is that I am hoping to actually go to Croatia and do a 6-week long like residency Croatian class next summer, because summer in Croatia sounds pretty great. And the Croatian government gives people of Croatian background abroad an opportunity to get a scholarship where they pay for your housing and you get to live on the coast and take Croatian classes. So I'm hoping to do that next summer if I end up getting the scholarship and COVID and life willing. And that is something I'll be applying for. And I do think that having already taken this class through the University of Zagreb will give me an edge towards being able to get the scholarship, because they're very public about what the like rating scale is. And one of them is that you have shown interest in learning the language before. It's really hard to find resources to learn Croatian because it's not a majority, it's not a big language. It is also similar to several other languages. It's mutually intelligible with 4 other languages, and it's relatively new that it's split off from being described as Serbo-Croatian, because it is spoken mutually intelligible with Serbian, but Serbian uses a different written script. They use Cyrillic. Um, so it's very hard to find resources to learn it just because it is a new language. It's a small language. And I'm happy I took that class. I don't know. It was very fun. I hope the German class works out. I've wanted to do it for years, but it's on Saturday mornings. And if I had known that things were not going to change at all last year, I would have signed up for the German class last year. But I kept thinking, oh, in the spring things will change and I'll be back to traveling and I won't have Saturdays free. I could have totally done an entire school year of German class. Okay, so this is what the breakdown looked like month to month for all of my expenses. So this is the actual like month to month. This is my day job gross income, which I got a raise that started in June. So you can see that that ticked up, and that's my gross income before any taxes come out. My Oh My Dollar gross income, I make obviously a lot more gross income from Oh My Dollar, but this is fed into the sheet based on after I take out all of my tax deductible expenses and all of those various things. So my Oh My Dollar gross is a lot smaller. That includes like my charitable giving and everything. I count towards my total gross income my employer's portion that they contribute to my 401k. So it's actually it's not a match. It's just a contribution that they give regardless. So they do 3% of my salary automatically in there. And you can see when I got a raise, it went up. So it went from $129.50 a month to $134.50. And then this line, this is, there's an income and miscellaneous line, obviously, but then this was my stimulus and my tax refunds. So, and this was the second one that I got that I didn't expect. So I put those on a separate line. Those, you aren't going to have to repay them, and they don't count towards your taxable income this year, although they count towards state income tax, annoyingly enough. But so this is the savings. At the beginning of the year, I was focused more on cash savings. And I was also still putting away money in savings because I expected that I was going to be possibly paying for graduate school in cash. So I needed to have enough set aside to pay for $20,000 in graduate school. And then the UK government, if you're on a tier 4 student visa, also requires you to show that you have the equivalent of like 9 months of living expenses in an account sitting there to even apply for your student visa. And they have their exact number that they calculated out for your living expenses if you live in London or outside of London for graduate school. So at the beginning, I was focused on cash savings because I wanted to make sure I had enough in the account for that. But then I started slowly ramping up. I just became eligible for my day job 401k in January because it was my year anniversary. So that I set up a SEP IRA for tax reasons for Oh My Dollar. So that is my bottom line. And I do that based on trying to do 25% of my gross Oh My Dollar income in the SEP IRA, which is very advantageous for tax reasons. And then I also include their savings towards my total savings because that is mine. It immediately vests in my 401k. So you can really see how much the cash savings went up in the months that I got the tax refunds and the stimuluses because, I was saving like $2,000 a month worth of in cash, $1,600 a month. But now I am focused on my day job 401k. So I am putting aside 41% of my day job 401k into an account. They are matching 3%. And then I also put 25% of my Oh My Dollar income in my SEP IRA, which varies month to month, obviously. And then the last line is my cash savings. And you'll notice the cash savings is going down because I am not currently planning on going to grad school next month. So I don't have to have as much money in savings for that. And I have a fully funded emergency fund. On top of that, I have about a year's worth of expenses that's like available even outside of my emergency fund. And so it's not at this point doing the cash savings is probably not worth it. So I do percentage of gross here on the bottom, and I do it based on percentage of year, so that I can see what my total percentage of my gross income. So thus far this year, I'm just under 50% of my gross income that I saved, and that also shows what percentage of the year that I am towards saving the $21,000 so that I can hit the 21 in 21 goal on the Oh My Dollar forums. So as of year to date, I have saved $19,038.12. It was $19,086 yesterday, and then I had an unexpected expense that I had to move some money out of that savings line item rather than anything else. And the way that I do my cash savings is that I do it at the, obviously my 401k and everything comes out before my paycheck, so I don't even see that money. And my Oh My Dollar SEP IRA, on the last day of the month, I transfer what the money that I know is 25% of the gross into my 401k there. I only get paid once a month from my day job, and I only write myself a check from Oh My Dollar once a month at the end of the month too. So all of these categories get filled out on the last day of the month. I always try to be about, I don't count in the cash savings money that I am saving for expenses. So the only exception to that was when I was saving money for tuition because I didn't know if I was going to be using it or not. I was counting that towards a savings goal because it was a really large amount of money that I was saving. But things that I'm saving, like, my sinking funds where I'm saving up to spending them on insurance, or money that I've set aside for larger expenses in like figure skating, like renewal fees and stuff, I don't count towards my savings goals. So the cash savings is meant to be for long-term savings. This is what the raw numbers look like. If you are interested in. So it was 60% of my total expenses. The reason that this is a different percentage of gross income versus total expenses is that some of that savings might, some of the amount might not actually be set aside towards savings, and then obviously taxes. So anybody have any questions? I just kind of ran through that really quickly. But I have more graphs. I can show you some net worth graphs if you want to as well. The big thing I am running towards is finally getting to 100K net worth, which at my age is a little up there for it. But considering that my average income for most of my 20s was under $20,000 a year, I feel pretty good about the fact that I now, because I am making, I forgot to disclose my income. So my day job income is, I was making $51,900 a year at the beginning of the year, and then I got a raise. So now I make, I think, $53,400 as my gross income, which works out to about, $35,000 as my take home pay. But obviously, because I put so much in my 401k and that is tax free, that is tax deferred, that means that I actually have a much lower taxable income. I would like to learn about savings and your possibly radioactive blood. It's not radioactive. It's just like it's not a good idea to give someone blood that has been modified. The immune system has been modified to be less effective. So I'm on what's called a TNF inhibitor, and TNF inhibitors uh, prevent some part of your immune system from like doing stuff in your blood. I am a science person, obviously. Clearly, I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the TNF inhibitor I'm on, they don't want anything to do with my blood. Anybody have any questions? Do we like to look at pretty graphs? I just like to show off graphs. So yeah, I can show what the net worth graph was. So this is my net worth graph from when I got a regular job in January, like a normal salary job as opposed to a service job. And you can see just how much it's been this really steady increase. If you look at my net worth graphs from before, I would have like big peaks and then things would slowly start to drop down because my income was so unstable. So even though I was still saving, obviously expenses meant that things were up that. So my net worth has gone up by $54,000, $333.91. Abel Jack says, I make only 2.75 of the 4 immune factors that regular people make, and I can never donate blood. I guess people that need blood also need all of the immune thing. I guess it does make sense that if you need blood, you probably want like all of the blood. Although I don't really understand why plasma is like separate, because they like spin it out and then they put it back in you, and I guess they don't get it with the regular one. This is this year. This is the Pretty Little March. So it looks like I'll hit $100,000 net worth if I keep my job. If Oh My Dollar income stays steady, which it could go up, it could go down. Right now it's trending down just because I don't have a lot of time for Oh My Dollar. And I've been doing a lot more charitable stuff and a lot less like money-making stuff recently. So I probably need to focus on doing a little more income-producing work, but I've got some good things in the pipeline for that. So, but if that all trends the same and I'm able to continue to average to save around $2,000 a month, give or take $2,200 a month for the rest of the year, then for the rest of the year and the beginning of next year, then I should hit my $100,000 net worth number early next year, which is very exciting. But beep, boop, that is it. And I don't do anything in any way exciting with my investing. I'm mostly index funds, bond index funds, international, just balanced, normal portfolio. My net worth increases do include market gains in my portfolio, but my savings does not. So I do not count gains in the savings. I count what I put in. So that helps. So when the market goes down, I don't count like, oh, I lost $100 in my, portfolio this week. I don't count that against my savings rate because I saved that amount of money, but it does show up in my net worth because those are essentially off budget in YNAB. So anybody have any questions? I don't know. There's my graphs. It's very easy to show. I obviously have abundant privilege that I'm able to do this right now. I'm not used to having like a full-time salaried job. It's just not a thing for a long time I even had access to, because there were not a lot of salaried full-time jobs available in the nonprofit world. And now that I work in the private sector, I make spot on the median household income for the US. So it has been very easy for me to save because I'm used to making a lot less money. I'm used to being responsible for a bunch of things that are now covered by an employer. Like I've had a 401k before. I've never had a 401k employer contribution. I have never had health insurance where it's fully paid through my work. So they pay my premiums for my health insurance. I still carry a lot of other health insurance expenses because of my drug, but yeah. Um, Other than 401k and SEP, where do you stash savings? Bank savings and money market accounts are not that good. I know it is very frustrating right now how low the interest rates are. So I get like 0.5% APY on my high yield savings account. But I view my cash savings as insurance, not investments. So I'm not I'm not using my cash savings like my emergency funds or, what's in my checking account. I'm not using that to make money off of it. I'm not doing retail investing with it. I'm using it as insurance because as someone who's normally had very volatile income, I need for my own personal security, mental security, I need a pretty high emergency fund. I like to have about a year or more of expenses in my emergency fund. Additionally, I one thing that I do is I do because I have like a pretty high amount in my emergency fund. I have like $20,000 to $30,000. I will use that to do bank account sign up bonuses. So that ends up netting me more than just the APY would. So if you have like money that you can just kind of move around to do different bank account sign up bonuses, it is annoying. Like, it's not the funnest thing to do as a side hobby, but I net like $200 to $500 a year off of those sign up bonuses. So that's like the main way that I do that. I do very limited retail investing. So I have like a tiny bit of play money that I play with, usually around $20 a month that I will put in some sort of retail investments. And that's just play money to me. It's money that I'm willing to lose. And that's what I use to buy like individual stocks when I want to do some just kind of fun stuff. But my 401k and my SEP, I stash, mostly, I mostly do index funds and ETFs and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not super worried about not getting interest off of it. I do have some money in not all, this is all my USD equivalents of everything. I do have money in foreign accounts. So this is the whatever the live exchange rate equivalent is. So it does make my net worth swing a little bit, but it's not a large percentage of my overall net worth. And I do get better interest on my foreign account. And I just have that because I got very annoyed at how much I was having to wire money over. So I have an EU bank that I use in Germany. Any other questions? I know I miss the days of like 8% interest rates on savings. I found this channel that I highly recommend if you like Regency era literature and talking about economics. She's called Ellie Dashwood, Ellie. I'll try to put a link after the live stream down in the show notes. But she does historical economics for Regency and Victorian eras. So she'll talk about like how dowries were invested and what different kinds of income in like especially Jane Austen's books, what they look like relative to the like overall population income. She uses real historical sources like income tables from tax documents and stuff like that to really like play out how rich different people were. I have found it very fascinating. A lot of it was stuff that I knew, but she explains it with really good sources. But one of the things that's very fascinating is like typically a dowry for the elite classes for women in Regency England from the gentle classes would be invested at 4 to 5% interest, and they would live just off that interest, which is, of course, what we now use as the safe withdrawal rate when it comes to calculating out early retirement or even just regular retirement as a safe withdrawal rate. And it is very fascinating to see how that kind of works out now. I would love to dive in deeper into all of that. So, Oh, this looks extremely rad. Are you looking at the Ellie Dashwood channel? Yeah, it's pretty great. Um, lol, Austin heroines are the original women in Fire. I mean, the thing is yes, they didn't work, and they, you know, but the big problem was that they were entirely reliant on men to save that money for them. So that's why so much of it is about the marriage plot, because if you weren't born with a father that set aside enough money for your dowry, you were stuck making sure that you could secure your own financial future based on your ability to snag a rich husband. It's not great. Especially from the elite classes that like didn't want to marry someone in trade. That's why so many wealthy American women went to Regency England in the like Victorian era, because most families like of the landed gentry class needed two incomes. So they needed the income from a dowry from the woman's fortune or portion, and they also needed the income from the land that the landed gentry had, or whatever their fortune was. And so many estates in England were essentially just saved by these rich American women coming over and marrying into the landed gentry around the turn of the 20th century, because they needed an infusion of cash. And yeah, and then and Americans love titles, especially rich Americans, right? Because they were all new money. All right, here's the donut. Sorry it's not better lit. French toast donut, much to Abel Jack's chagrin. It's very, very powdery. I'm gonna look a certain type of way once I eat this. Oh. This is really good. It's very just fluffy inside. I haven't gotten too much powder on my nose yet, I don't think. Emily says also the foundation of much of LA, so the vibe lives on. Yeah, I mean, LA was the first stock exchange outside of New York City. They had their own because they had such like wealth in LA. It's nice and fluffy. It doesn't smell, it smells more mapley than it tastes. Like, I'm not tasting a ton of maple in it. What goes in a French toast? Maple syrup, eggs usually, butter, sugar? Is that what goes in? And bread. My review is this is delicious. It's like, it's very simple. Other than the fact that I am completely covering myself in powdered sugar. Oh, cinnamon. Vanilla and cinnamon. Emily says donut looks great. Donut is great. Cinnamon and vanilla. Okay, so wait. Full ingredients list. Butter, sugar, cinnamon, vanilla, egg, I know for vegan French toast, you usually use silken tofu instead of an egg. Cheryl says, that's your first recipe, Venmo me. That was not a good recipe. I need it printed on very pretty little cards. So if you're going to start this side hustle, I think you need to commit to it. Oh, salt too. Yeah, I don't really like savory breakfast, so despite the upsetness at the French toast, this donut is great, but I'm not really into savory breakfast. This is so messy, though. Like, French toast you would never eat with your hands, and I feel like a French toast donut you should also not eat with your hands. Look how much powdered sugar is on me now. Outrageous. Milk, egg, vanilla, cinnamon, salt. Okay. All right. There's no butter. I really felt like there was butter in it. I guess that must just be the milk. I now have powdered sugar and stickiness on my on my computer trackpad because of that donut, so that's great. We love that. What is everybody looking forward to this week? We've been at this for an hour. Does anybody have any questions about my budget or anything? I don't know. Was that satisfying for you, Kess, lover of looking at other people's budgets? So can we see Dora's savings? We can. Let me get Dora. Oh, she's a very, very tired kitten. Look at how tired she is. Look at her. No interest. Look at this kitten. Look how tired she is. Oh, are you trying to go back to sleep? She's like, I don't know what's going on here. Why would I want to be part of this? She gave a big yawn. Boop-a-da-boop. She's very tired. She has 1, 2, see all the sparkly balls she has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. What a perfect baby. Correct. Dora's like, why is the box not on the ground? Actually, it normally lives on a high shelf. Also, I dropped one of the sparkly balls on her, and she does not care, and she's just back to sleep, and it's just sitting on her right now. It has to be on a high shelf normally. It's on the stack of all the other boxes. No interest, just like real savings. Yes, she's also not getting any interest on her sparkly balls either. So in addition to no interest, she's so tired. She's so tired. There's probably more sparkly balls underneath her. It's probably more than 7, but... all right. How about you all tell me what you're looking forward to in this week of our COVID 2021? Does anybody have any non-COVID related things they are looking forward to this week? Things that are not involving having to rethink what recovery really looks like? I'm trying to think. I'm leading a picnic ride again. Emily is about to go eat a vegan corn dog. Ooh, where are you going for a vegan corn dog? There used to be, this is an old Portland thing now, but there used to be vegan corn dog night. It was Tuesdays, and it was $1 vegan corn dogs and $1 PBRs at the Hungry Tiger 2, and it would get out of control. And you would also order, like, you would order 7 for $7 or something like that. And then maybe 7 showed up, maybe 4 showed up, maybe 10 showed up. Sometimes they take an hour to arrive. It was very chaotic. Also, I would regularly go, and then I would kind of regret everything the next day. Like, the taste of vegan corn dog, the particular hangover you get when you've eaten only vegan corn dogs, mustard, and whiskey is a very notable thing. Emily's going to Hungry Tiger. All right. Yeah, I hope they're still good. Cheryl is excited about not going camping with an unvaccinated friend. So you were like originally going to go camping with them and now you're not going camping with them? How do you get this friend vaccinated? How do you do this? Kevin has gotten into building fancy keyboards during the pandemic. Building one for a coworker this week. Oh, that's such a cool pastime. Do you do like, are they like the clackety clack kind? I know people are very into their like keyboard sounds and they're like recoil, or are they like lighting oriented? Emily says they're a full-time thing now. Every night is vegan corn dog night. But are they $1 each? Because they had like started, they like changed ownership twice. I used to know the owner too, so there was an advantage there. But I don't think that they're $1 anymore because they went up to like $2.50. You used to be able to get them the other days of the week, but then it was like 2 for $7, which they are not worth, in my opinion, $3.50. They are worth $1 because that is the price I have gotten anchored to. They are not $1. See, yeah, I'm just saying they're not. I got anchored to believing they were the value of $1, and I was willing to tolerate a lot for the value of $1. They also used to have a thing up on the wall that like proclaimed the people that were the champions of how many corn dogs they had. Yeah, it was really a thing. Kevin says, depends. So many ways to customize this. I brought in a switch tester with 15 different feeling switches so I could see his preferences. Man, this is a lot of commitment, Kevin. Emily says, this is an important economics lesson. Yes, there are some prices that are sticky, and $1 vegan corn dog night is in fact a sticky price. Chick Noir became a plant mom during the pandemic. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. What? Like, are you someone that is buying plants like every time you find stress? Because I've noticed that there's some people that went from like occasional plants to like now their house is mostly made of plants because every time something stressful happened, they'd like get a bunch of plants. Or you like, do you feel like you have like a reasonable level? Did you get any particularly challenging ones? Oh, Cheryl was originally going to go out camping with the unvaccinated friend because you thought being outside would be okay. Outside, I won't catch COVID. I think that's still true, but also I don't really believe that anything is really true. Cheryl says, the time we bought dogs for all your friends was memorable. Oh, yeah, I think you like were visiting Portland, and so we had a hungry tiger night. Thank you for the time that you bought all of those. I agree, Emily. I love Kevin's energy with like 15 different feeling switches. I have to have super soft touch keyboards because my hands are like not great. So, Emily, are you excited to unpack? Am I keep reminding you? You're like, I want to talk about corn dogs, and I'm like, you have things. Chick Noir has a reasonable level, no challenging plants. I prefer monsters, which are beginner friendly. Is monsters an actual plant name, or is that just like a category of plants? I need to know. Emily is gonna get corn dogs and then not worry about the fact that she has to unpack. I have an air mattress and couch now, so life's looking up. Yeah, I do kind of like the unpacking. I like the like nesting side. When I go and I stay somewhere for like a month to 6 months, one of my favorite things to do is just to try to set up like speed setup to get homey as quickly as possible. But it's harder with an apartment. You eventually reach the point where you're like, this has no home and I hate it. Or like you realize you have to buy a new piece of furniture and you're like, but I don't want to buy a new piece of furniture, but I really need a shelf for these things that are in a pile on the floor. I'm not looking forward to that next year. I'm already worrying about next year's move. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. Please enjoy your corn dogs and your plants and all of your lovely not camping with people. And Emily getting to buy some furniture. Oh, Craig had an actual relevant question. Did you use a template for your budget spreadsheet or is it your own creation? Your layout page organization is quite nice. So this is actually from Excel. So I made this in Excel. It's just like the regular pie chart in Excel, and then I use my own font and I color it in Excel. So this one comes from Excel, and then this graph is from You Need a Budget or YNAB, and and that's just like their net worth calculation graph. And then this is also an Excel one, and then this is a Google sheet, which I'm happy to share with people, but it does not, like, I pull the numbers manually into this. So it does the calculations for you as far as like percentages and stuff. And I'm happy to share this Google sheet if anybody wants to use it as a template. The second tab of it has all of my Oh My Dollar like expenses calculated out. I use that one as the guideline for how much I need to save for taxes, because just 30% doesn't work when you have expenses and then you also have the SEP IRA. And because I withhold at my day job a little bit more, I essentially, yeah, anyway, I'm happy to share this Google sheet if people want. I'll share it on the Oh My Dollar forums. This one, I can share this, but you have to, one, have Excel, and two, have a lot of patience because it's not really meant to do this, and I just force it to do that. Yeah. Cheryl says, I reorganize all the cabinets at the vacation rentals. I'm sure you're everyone's favorite guest. They're like, oh, great. She reorganized all of our cabinets. Oh, there's a kitten approaching again. A wild kitten. Miss Dora, do you want to wave everybody off for the live stream? Come here. Oh. All right. We're going to say goodbye. Yeah. Hey, look up there. Stay safe, everyone, this week. The next week, I'm going to do another budget review, but not of my budget, of K. Mikey M., who I've had on the live stream and on the show in the past. He is the world's first publicly traded person, so you can buy shares in him. I am a shareholder. And his shareholders voted for him to track his budget last month. And we're going to do a review of his expenses. I think it'll be interesting to see what a script writer and publicly traded person living in LA spends compared to me. So I thought that might be kind of interesting. Robin showed up at the end again. Well, thanks for joining. You can always rewatch a little bit. We talked about corn dogs. We looked at some graphs. And we discussed how depressed we all are about the changing Oh My Dollar stuff. Craig says, thanks for the info. Yeah, if you do want those expense spreadsheets, I'll post them on the Oh My Dollar forums. So, yeah. David says, has he paid dividends? He doesn't do dividends. He is an open traded marketplace, but he's not a dividend stock. So if you want to make money off of him as an investment, then instead you trade with other shareholders. So, but yeah, he's not a dividend stock. All right, cheers. I'll see y'all next week. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Australian Western Standard Time. All right, cheers. Thank you all for joining, and I'll see you soon. Stay safe, stay hydrated.